The Locked On Podcast Network presents The Big 6 in 60. The 6 biggest national sports stories from the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network. Get the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 60 minutes. The Big 6 in 60 starts now with the biggest story in sports.
When your season's on the line, who you going to call? Buddy Hield. We start off with Buddy Hield. We knew at the beginning of this season, it took like 3 games to know that when Buddy Hield is hot, and the stats back this up, the Golden State Warriors win. Hield had 22 points in the first half, 6 3-pointers. He had 22 points before Steph Curry hit a shot in this game, and the Warriors had a double-digit lead. Curry had 0. Hield had 22. Warriors were up double figures. Draymond had double-digit points at that point. Outstanding. Hield finishes with 33, had 9 triples in the contest. Playoff Jimmy hit just tough shot after tough shot. He is a big shot maker and a big shot taker. Every time the Rockets tried to cut a 14-point deficit into like 5, into 3, whatever in the second half, it was Hield, it was Curry, it was Butler hitting big shot after big shot, and the Golden State Warriors move on to face the Minnesota Timberwolves. Your opening thoughts on a huge performance from Buddy Hield?
Why does my guy think I'm hating on Buddy Hield? I don't hate on Buddy Hield. And tonight, what could you say? He was unbelievable. And like, first of all, that pass that Steph hit him with, when I think that was his first 3, the like weird over the shoulder. After that, it just seemed, when Buddy has those nights, man, it seems like he can just throw it over his shoulder and it'll go in. It's so much fun to watch. And he's just such a fun guy in general. I've never hated on Buddy Hield. I've maybe reported accurately when he doesn't have good games, but look,
we've both hated on him, but it's not necessarily hate. It's literally reading a box score and saying he went 0 of 5 from 3 and did nothing. Yes.
Yeah, no, you don't get this every night. If he did this every night, he'd be Steph Curry, but he does it sometimes. And tonight he did it in the biggest possible moment. So you're not going to take anything away from that guy. And by the way, you know what I was thinking about as this game was closing? Buddy Hield outplayed Jalen Green in this 7-game series.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the Warriors will take that. That is, if you told anybody before the series, hey, you know what, Buddy Hield's going to have a better series than Jalen Green, okay, Warriors win. Like, we know how good they are when he's hot, and tonight was certainly one of those nights. And you know what? Miguel in the chat points this out too. He was making an impact defensively tonight. He's never going to be Draymond Green, but his effort was good. He made fewer mistakes than we often see from him, and nothing but credit for Buddy tonight. He was awesome.
Warriors were awesome from the rip, man. I mean, it was Draymond with 8 points in the first couple minutes of the game, knocked down a few threes, went strong to the bucket for a layup. You knew that Butler was going to get after it early and often. Curry, though, you could tell the thumb was bothering him early. I think he missed his first 5 shots in the game, 4 threes. Didn't really look good until the final 30 seconds of the first half. Second half, however, when it came to Steph, he was getting inside. They were basically, over pressuring Curry to the point where he'd just go right past them and lay it up and in, had some slick reverses, used his gravity to his advantage all night and found Buddy Hield. Or found someone who would find Buddy Hield. Kerr pushed a bunch of the right buttons today. Udoka went with the lineup that had given them a plus 35 advantage entering this game. That's the 2 bigs with Adams and Şengün. And today was the first time in the series where it felt like the Warriors completely took advantage of it. And the reason is because when Buddy Hield is knocking down threes like that, it's a completely different team. And you're right, you don't get it every night. You got it tonight, and you just kicked the Rockets' asses, but forget the 103 points. That is the style that the Warriors wanted to play in this series. Don't turn it over as much as the Rockets. I believe that was a check in that regard tonight. They'd won every single game when they turned it over less, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they won that statistic.
Yeah, they killed them. Well, I mean, the Rockets didn't turn it over a ton, but Warriors only turned it over 7 times. And that's really the thing they need to worry about. And I swear 3 of them were on 3 consecutive possessions in the third quarter, too. So for most of the game, incredibly secure with the ball. The chat has been pointing this out already. Part of what characterized tonight was really excellent defensive effort from everybody across the board. Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, everybody who got, even Kuminga, who was terrible tonight. Defensively, the effort was there, right? The whole team for 48 minutes was all over the Rockets. And you see what I was trying to say and maybe didn't say elegantly enough on Friday. Like, this Houston team doesn't have any answers for that. They're not quite good enough. Now, look, they're an exciting, young, up-and-coming team that is a legitimate playoff scorer away from being truly dangerous. But they don't have that guy, and we saw it again tonight. And the Warriors made sure we saw it again by defending their butts off from the opening whistle. That was a big part of tonight. But, you know, it really is Buddy. And Buddy might not give you what he gave you tonight every night, but the Warriors are going to have to get that from somebody every night that they want a playoff win. Because I would actually argue, you know, who knows what the thumb, I don't know. But I would argue that as much as, if not more than the thumb, what slowed Steph down in the first half was they were double teaming him on the touch almost every time. I mean, the first half I was watching with my about to be 6-year-old, right? And I'm telling him, look, Podziemski's getting wide open runners from 5 feet because they got 2 guys on Steph 4 feet beyond the 3-point line. And Stephen Curry usually makes the right play in those situations. I think we've had some bumps in that road, but for the most part, Stephen Curry usually makes the right play when he is double and triple teamed. The question has been, are the other guys going to hit the open shots that they get? And tonight, Buddy hit basically all of them.
19 of Curry's 22 came in the second half. We'll have a deep dive on what he did in the second half, but I do want to give a shout to the Rockets for about 30 seconds. Specifically, I'm in Thompson. I said a few days ago that I don't know, if you can't knock down the outside shot, if you can't put any pressure on the defense to the point where they can sag 5 feet off you, then it's going to be tough to be a superstar caliber player. Even if he doesn't develop that shot, man, I mean, he's something else. He's a talent. He really grew on me in this series. Yep. Şengün wasn't awesome today by any means. I thought the Warriors did a great job of defending him, but it was also just Şengün missing some point blank buckets. I mean, there was one, he had a chance for an and one. You could see that he was angry. Went up for a little finger roll and missed the 2-footer. And that was kind of the story of the Rockets night. They missed a lot of close shots. Van Fleet did not get enough shot opportunities, only took 6 threes in the game. He needed more than that. He had 17. And you mentioned it. Jalen Green was kind of the X factor in this series. If he could get going, he gave the Rockets a little bit of offensive firepower to keep up with the Warriors. And when he's only scoring 8 points and you're getting 11 points from your bench, which consisted of 3 from Jabari Smith, 5 from Tari Eason, and 3 from Steven Adams, that is not enough. Rockets are on the rise. They're a piece away from being a legitimate contending team in the NBA. But as of right now, they are a 2 seed that are upsetted by the 7 seed. Rebounding battle today, it was 52 for Houston. It was 38 for Golden State. Who cares? When you turn the other team over more, when you hold them to 40% from the floor, 33% from deep, that is how you win basketball games. Warriors 18 threes on 43 attempts. Draymond with 16, Butler with 20, Curry with 22, Buddy Hield with 33, Podziemski with 9, 3 for Kevon Looney. That was how the Warriors tallied up 103 as they advance to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. And with 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Head to Amazon.com/FireTV Locked On to get started. XPass Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen.
You're Locked On the Hockey Jets, your daily podcast on the Winnipeg Jets.
Winnipeg, the start of this game could not have gone worse. The Jets found themselves in a very early hole. Winnipeg looked like they just weren't really ready for the moment. You know, the opening 20 minutes was some of the worst hockey this team has played in this whole series, and that's saying something. Those first 20, the Jets looked lost. They looked overwhelmed. They looked really beaten down and tired. And then Hellebuyck had a couple of goals that I don't think he'll love. The first one wasn't really his fault. Kyle Connor had a sort of MIA moment in front of goal where Kyrou was completely left open. And then Joseph, not too long after that, he had a bit of a snipe that probably shouldn't have gotten by Hellebuyck, and Morrissey was kind of sort of marking the lane, but didn't really do that great of a job. And like that, you kind of thought, oh, is this happening? Please tell me this isn't happening. I said I thought the Jets would advance in this series with a Game 7 win in the previous episode, and I really didn't want this team to make me look stupid. This team, again, has earned a level of confidence in some ways that I thought would finally come due in this critical Game 7 moment. Then the second period happened, and it took a little bit, but the Jets really started to warm up. They started to do their thing. They started to look like the Jets again, and Perfetti gets a beautiful, beautiful tip power play goal. You're thinking, okay, Jets, they're finally back in it. And then right before the end of regulation, Radek Faksa gets goal number 3 for the Blues. And this fourth line has really terrorized the Jets throughout the whole series. I think they accounted for something like 6 goals against Winnipeg, which is just, from a fourth line, you just don't ever see that kind of thing. And the way that they scored was greasy. They had one that just sort of ripped through Hellebuyck that really shouldn't have gone through. And this one was a snipe. Schenn made a really bad pass to Ehlers. Ehlers sort of fumbled it at St. Louis's blue line. It gets countered back. Schenn tries to skate or block with his body across and ends up, kind of not really doing enough. Fox kind of takes advantage of a vulnerable Helly who's down early and kind of abandoned the top of the net. And just like that, you thought that all hope was lost. And it certainly looked like that because the third period kind of came and went, and the Jets really struggled to create offense. I mean, they had a couple of decent looks here and there, but you just thought, man, is this team really about to do this crap again? We've been through this so many times. And then Nemesnikov in the last 2 minutes scores. And you think, okay, goalie's pulled, Nemesnikov squeezes one in. It's a little bit greasy. It went off of, I think, Suter. And you're just like, what's next, right? Can Winnipeg really do this? We just saw the Stars do it the night before. Can Winnipeg repeat history? Doing this for 2 straight Game 7s is just almost unthinkable. It's never happened before. And yet here it is happening again. And then miracle upon miracles in the last 5 seconds of the game, everyone fumbles the puck. Ehlers, Connor, they had some shuffled passes, some mishit slap shots. And then, you finally get an Ehlers slap pass to Connor. Connor finds Perfetti. And I don't quite know how much was sort of an instinctive reaction or what, but Perfetti just tipped and roofed it. And it was a moment that I think is going to live in the soul of every single Winnipeg fan watching this game, or who's a Jets fan, period, for the rest of eternity. This goal felt like so many things coalescing and crystallizing in a singular moment, and it just felt like the weight of the world was finally lifted off of Winnipeg's shoulders. Now, obviously, job's not done, but when you score this goal with 1.8 or 1.6 seconds remaining in regulation, when you feel like you are finally on top of the demon that has haunted you for forever, you thought that there was no way this Jets team was losing. And for the next 2 overtime periods, Winnipeg basically dominated play. The Blues did get a couple of really good chances, and I think the best one was probably a Broberg shot that should have been a shot, but instead his stick snapped, and he wasn't able to get it off. And Winnipeg just seemingly got every bounce and amazing defensive play that they needed from guys like Pionk, Fleury, and some other players to really see this one through before Adam Lowry deflected one off of his backside or something to make it a double overtime victory. And man, Winnipeg just exploded. This was a game where we thought that the Jets would finally, repeat every mistake that they've made the past couple of years. You just felt like everything was happening again. And then the Jets rewrote the script for maybe one last time. I don't know. But I can tell you one thing. I said again that the team, for me, right before they won the President's Trophy, was feeling like a team of destiny. And during the road games, I started to feel like that wasn't going to happen. I was like losing confidence. I was losing faith because if you have to win at home every single game, you're probably not going to win the series. It's just not going to work out that way. You got to find a way to get an away win somewhere. And it wasn't like the Jets were losing close games. They were getting walloped. And here they were getting walloped at home for the first period. And you just felt like everything that could go wrong was going wrong, and that Winnipeg hadn't been able to collect itself once again. But, this team this season has shown time and time again that when their backs are against the wall, when everything seems to be against them, when there is realistically no chance they should ever have of coming back in games or winning them, they have delivered something truly miraculous. And this is going to be one of those moments. If you didn't see this live, if you missed it, I am begging you just to go, and even if you have the couple of hours, just watch the game back. I promise you will not regret it. Will you feel the intensity of the actual moment? No, but I promise you will feel better about life after watching this. This was a fandom affirming, life affirming game. And man, when everything else, feels like it's spiraling out of control elsewhere, it is nice to know that you've got a little more Jets hockey to look forward to. This was a game of games. It felt like a cup win in and of itself. It's only the first round, so get ready because round 2 is coming against the Stars, and we are going to have some coverage and crossover discussions with our friends at Locked On Stars later this week. But for tonight, just enjoy this game. What a moment. What a victory. And I want to talk about some of the biggest heroes, not only for Game 7, but throughout the series, guys who I really feel stepped up and answered the bell.
Pacers 1, Cavs 0. The Pacers go into Cleveland. They beat the Cavs in Game 1.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast.
The Pacers are up 1-0 in their series. They beat the Cavs by 9. And I think they just made another 3 just now as I'm talking, about an hour and a half after the game. Oh, they just made another one. Tough ones, open ones. It doesn't matter. They went in tonight. Pacers offense was humming. Their process was good. The results were better. The Cavs were off. They were missing an all-star, and the Pacers took advantage of a game they had to get. I'll explain why, but I think everybody kind of knows in a game that they looked pretty good. Their style, once again, rules the day. Their first road Game 1 win of this era, and they now have home court advantage. If Tyrese Halliburton, who has never lost a home playoff game, if that continues this series, the Pacers will now win because they stole this one. So much to get to, but the start of the story here is the offense of the Pacers, who were on fire from deep in this game. Many have credited their shot making as an outlier shooting game, and in some ways that can be true. And you shoot 53%, that's obviously an outlier game, one of their top 5 percentages of the year when you look back through their regular season game log. And of course, they will look back and say, man, some of those were a little lucky. Benedict Mathurin at the buzzer of the shot clock late in the first half. Miles Turner at the buzzer of the third quarter, although wide open as he shot faked and let a defender go flying by him. Andrew Nembhard on the right wing at the buzzer of the shot clock in the fourth quarter. He had another tough one. Ben Mathurin had a tough one in the corner to end a Cavs run in the third quarter. A lot of threes that were legitimately challenging threes. The Pacers don't not get credit for making them. Those are tough shots that they made. That's what basketball is all about. But the other 14, 13, whatever numbers left of the makes were earned threes that the Pacers have shown throughout the playoffs that when they're playing the way they want, which they did for most of this game, and I think they'll be happy with the pace that they set, they can make and take with just about anybody on the floor. The Cavs wanted to switch. That was a big talking point coming into the series, is would that switching defense look like the Bucks defense in the second half of Game 3, or could the Pacers tear it apart? Jared Allen ends up on guard sometimes. Evan Mobley's on everybody. Donovan Mitchell is on everybody, and that led to the Pacers being able to throw skip passes to open threes, right? When guys are switching, there's tends to be guys pinching in to cover for the switch or whatever, and Tyrese Halliburton ripped that up. 13 assists and just 1 turnover for Tyrese Halliburton. Again, stat lines that, if you watch the Pacers all the time, seem very routine and normal. That is not normal. That is extremely rare to do. That's a good number for like a team in a quarter or a half. He had more than half of the Cavs' total assist number, for example, just on his own. And Andrew Nembhard, 6 assists, 0 turnovers on his own in this game. They were both moving the ball very, very well, as the Pacers offense, process-wise, was still good. And so I get how you will hear a lot after this game of analysis that says, man, the variance, the shot making for the Pacers on their side. And in a lot of ways it was. They made some tough threes. They made over half of their threes. They're going to win a lot of games, if not all of them, when that happens. And the Cavs also missed a lot of threes. But if you generate enough good ones, you're going to make threes. And the Pacers did that in this game. And that wasn't the end of their offensive experience, because they shot better on 2s than 3s. And of course, that should be the case every game. But they got good looks inside too. And I think that's where the Cavs switching defense really caused them some problems, right? Not that you want to target Jared Allen. He's a good defensive player. But when he got switched on to a guard or a perimeter player, whoever for the Pacers went at him. They were not afraid to go against the fro and try to take it to the basket against him. I was very surprised by that. Sometimes that led to Siakam settling for shots against him that I thought the Pacers would not really care for. But a lot of times that led to them getting into the paint where they can play the way they want with paint to great basketball. The points in the paint battle was dominated by the Cavs, 70-38, but the Pacers scoring in the lane and the passes they got to better shots from that spot on the floor was still very good in this game. That's why their assist numbers were so solid and their turnover numbers, albeit a little too high, from the players that were routinely making the passes, were not particularly high. So I think they've got to be thrilled, even in a game where people will go, oh, well, they can't shoot that well again. Yeah, probably not. But they still did a lot of stuff well that they can do again. And the evidence for that would be, 1, that they just did it against a pretty good defensive team, and 2, that they did it the entire first round. You guys heard me after every game practically against the Bucks going, well, man, the Pacers got whatever shot they wanted for 40, 48, 45, whatever minutes, and the Bucks couldn't stop them. And yeah, the Bucks went on a run late, but it didn't matter. The Pacers got the shots they wanted and they won the game, right? That happened every game in the first round, basically. And so Cavs, better defensive team, better talent, but missing a key player and unable to score as much as they usually do. They can't set their defense as much. The Pacers absolutely took advantage of that. You know, and you will see quotes that this was a shot, like about the shot making in this game. It's one of the first things Rick Carlisle said, mostly because it was one of the first things he was asked about. But he said, we had an exceptional shot making night. Later, he said, shot making is great when they go in, but they got to focus on the process all series long, right? Like, that was a very clear message from the Pacers. But Andrew Nembhard on the process part said, I think the ball movement was good and the threes were in rhythm. A lot of times when a lot of guys are touching the ball, it has good energy about it, right? Like, clearly they felt good about their play and their ball movement, their offensive processes. It wasn't like the Wizards game in February, if you remember that, where the Pacers were in DC and they needed Herculean shooting to get to overtime and then beat the Wizards, where their offense was bad, but their shot making was awesome. No one after the game was pimping their hits about the offense, right? They were not happy about it. They just happened to make shots. This time they were happy about it, right? Tyrese Halliburton said, it's good that we get this game out of the way so I get more film to look at, right? They didn't have a lot of relevant film against the Cavs in regular season. Now they have it, and their offensive process in it, despite not having that many reps against them, was still good. That speaks to their preparedness in a way that I thought it did against the Bucks as well. But big picture, when I remember this win, and I think most people will, this will be remembered for the shot making and the offense that the Pacers generated. And that basically extended to everyone. Tyrese Halliburton, you guys get to hear the Tony East line, was wonderful on 2s inside the arc. He had a wonderful game, 22 points and 13 assists. He made 7 2s on 9 attempts, plus 2 free throws. He's talked a lot in the past about how he feels like the mom of the offense, the way he's, asked to get everybody involved and move the ball. Somebody asked him after the game how he did being a mom today. Very well was the answer. And we'll talk more about him later, but his defense was amazing in this game. Miles Turner made shots. He hit the biggest 3 of the game to me at the end of the third quarter. The third quarter was the only Cavalanche, a 17-4 Cavs run made it close, but some huge shots from the Pacers to weather that storm. Ben Mathurin hit a huge 3 with 2 minutes to go after the Cavs went up 4. I think that was the Cavs' biggest lead of the second half, and Donovan Mitchell was rolling before Ben Mathurin hit a corner 3 on a pass from Halliburton. That was a huge shot. And then Miles Turner at the buzzer of the quarter on an assist from Pascal Siakam, the next biggest shot of the game, of the quarter, whatever you want to say. It put the team up 2 and really allowed them to put it away and feel comfortable heading into the fourth quarter in a way they wouldn't have without those 2 makes. That was, again, part of their offensive process, but some nice shot making and some huge ones there. But anyway, Turner gets credit for that end of third quarter shot. Aaron Nesmith was and has been this whole playoffs just so rock solid, scoring the ball, 17 points in this one. He made 4 threes. Pascal Siakam made some timely 2s in this one. So still good stuff from the Pacers on the offensive, but those guys were all very good. And Ben Mathurin did play a very good game off the bench. He certainly had some layups he missed that he would like back, but he also certainly thought he got fouled. 2 of them on one possession. He did get fouled. I'm not a ref guy, but then he got it back on the other end when he blocked DeAndre Hunter in one of the biggest swing plays of the game. That a foul was uncalled, even though Mathurin hit him in the chest with his left hand. The refs were letting stuff go at the rim today. As much as players, and I saw people tweeting about the belly aching of the refs, I thought they called it actually pretty consistently without calls at the rim, regardless. He had a good shot-making game. Obi Toppin made half of his shots. TJ McConnell was 3 for 5, and that's what the Pacers want, the balance that they got today. 6 in double figures, 2 guys with 7 points. Their leading scorer, Andrew Nembhard, with 23 points. How does Nembhard keep scoring 20 points? And I'm like, he is like, what, 8, 9? Oh, no, he is over 20. It's remarkable. So a lot of themes from the first series pop up today. The Pacers offense was able to generate largely good shots. They made a lot of them. They made tough shots too that can be contagious, but a lot of new stuff in that it's against a different team, and the balance was there. They have not had a 30-point score yet in the postseason, and yet their offense still is humming and rolling, and they're doing stuff very well. And they're up 1-0 against the Cleveland Cavaliers because of their offense. Thus, we're 14 for 15 from the foul line. Turnovers were really their only offensive blemish in this game, and I guarantee we'll talk about turnovers later. It already has been talked about by the Pacers. But in general, wouldn't you know it, an offensive team, a team that I wrote a story about before the postseason, should be leaning into their offense for their adjustments in this series. And a team that needed to score to keep up with the Cavs did exactly that. They scored. They kept up with the Cavs. They did just enough defensively to win. And the Pacers lead 1-0.
There's nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it's catching a last-minute Major League Baseball showdown or soaking up the excitement of an NBA matchup. But finding great seats at a great price, that used to be a challenge until Gametime. With last-minute deals, all-in prices, and the lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Plus, ticket prices actually drop as the beginning of the game gets closer, so you can score amazing seats at a great price. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime.
The Nuggets stomp the Clippers, destroy them, vanquish them, and they didn't even need a great Jokic game to do it.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast.
All year long, one of the things I thought was really a rough part of Denver was how great Nikola Jokic was, in the sense that everyone felt like they were failing him. Yes. It was like a really heavy thing for the whole team, was like Jokic is having an unbelievable, incredible, like unbelievable is the word for it. You can't believe how great his season had been. And the fact that people couldn't raise the level for them to win more games or to get him a break was actually really demoralizing. And I think it's incredibly cathartic that in a game 7 at home, Jokic has one of his worst playoff games that we've seen, and the Nuggets steamroll the Clippers thanks to the defense and contributions of everyone on the roster that was in the top 7 guys. So like the top 7 guys all making plays, and the defense coming through for them to get this monster win.
I firmly agree. It's something I was thinking about on the way home. Like, so much of this year has been about, oh man, Jokic has just had another 30-point triple-double, and the Nuggets are still struggling. Oh man, Jokic is playing pretty well against these top teams, but Denver not really getting the job done. Oh, I can't get a break. Oh, I can't do this. Like, he's doing everything. And that was one of the key arguments in the MVP case, of course, which we're going to talk about in the next few days. I have no doubt. But this was the epitome of a team win. This was exactly what you want when you're talking about a team win, from the perspective of, hey, your best guy doesn't have his best stuff. How do you respond? Do you fold? Do you allow yourself to like say, no, that's it, our best guy doesn't have it, so we're going to go home now? No. Like Denver, and this was the great thing about the 2023 run. Yes, it was kind of the coronation of Jokic in a lot of ways, but there were so many great moments for every single person along the way that was a part of that run, including DeAndre Jordan in those 2023 runs. So like having this moment is a great reformation, whatever the word is, that Jokic is freaking awesome. Like, he's great. He's the best player in the world. Nobody is disputing that. But you don't win this one without a team. You don't win this one without everybody else stepping up. Russell Westbrook, fantastic performance. Christian Brown, fantastic performance. Aaron Gordon outplayed Kawhi Leonard in the biggest moment of this particular series. And just one of those games that I'm going to remember about everybody stepping up around Jokic and Murray, who did not have their best stuff, and it didn't matter because the Nuggets did.
The Nuggets won the non-Jokic minutes and won them decidedly.
Jeez.
They started off the second quarter. By the way, like, let me take you back in time. Do you realize that the Clippers led this game by 5 after the first?
I as somebody who is doing the game notes and trying to account for the different moments in time at the beginning of this game, holy cow, did it not feel good early. It felt pretty bad.
Yeah, like, how are they possibly going to win if this is going to be the Jokic game? He looked hesitant and he looked off and he was still trying to draw fouls and all these types of things. And then the Nuggets just absolutely took it to him. I'm going to credit Jokic for something later in the show, for something where I thought that one part of his game, spoiler, is his defense, was actually really tremendous and looked even better when I went back and did the rewatch while I was hastily slurping some ramen down before coming on the show. It was also spicy, so I'm a little...
Hell yeah.
I
love good spicy ramen.
To start the second quarter, the Nuggets start off with a 16-4 run, led by Russell Westbrook, who we will talk a lot about tonight.
Yeah.
To me, there were 3 guys in total that really shaped this game, that controlled this game, that were the difference in this game. And it was Russell Westbrook, Aaron Gordon, and Christian Brown. And CB, on rewatch, his defense there's some little stuff that we'll get into. But his defense was unfreaking believable. And his offense, he got into transition and got downhill and attacked with confidence and made them punish them for being like, we're going to hide James Harden on you. And CB finally did what I've been waiting for him all series to do, which is to punish that and absolutely just be like, Harden doesn't want to defend, make him work. And once they did that, it was curtains for them. Aaron Gordon.
Do it. Go off. Let's go. Let's go.
I love basketball. I watch it all the time. I watch it morning, noon, and night. I get up. I start doing work. I start watching clips. I take the kids. I come back. I watch clips. I do a show. I watch clips. I'm consumed by this. I do this all the time. And one of the things that has always sparked in me since I was a kid and I first watched this stuff is that there are plays that you can make that help you win a game that don't show up in a box score. As much as I love stats and have as good of an understanding as I can have them, and I'm always working to understand them better because they're the actual factual information that backs up the events that occurred. It's the actual evidence of that. It's the quantitative era of it. There are plays that you make. And Aaron Gordon tonight he had the numbers. Like, the numbers were there for sure. It's not like he didn't have a good game from a box score standpoint. You know, he finishes with 22 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. But it was the difference of AG hit first, middle, last on Kawhi Leonard. He bodied him every single possession. Kawhi made some jumpers. Woo for the shooty hoops. Aaron Gordon beat the snot out of Kawhi Leonard tonight. He challenged him on every catch. He challenged him on every drive. He sealed him in the post to make Kawhi work on defense to where Kawhi did not want to engage in this game. It was too physical for Kawhi Leonard because Aaron Gordon brought it. His passing was sublime. He had an underneath pass that was absolutely ridiculously sick. He had so many huge key plays. Aaron Gordon is a winner. He wins basketball games. And the Denver Nuggets are lucky to have Aaron Gordon as a centerpiece of this team, to have him be what DNVR calls Mr. Nugget, to have him be such a pivotal part of the soul of this team, because this win was less about X's and O's, though David Adelman did some work on a very overrated person in Ty Lue. I like Ty Lue, but he's overrated. But this was more about leadership, heart, hustle, and the mentality. The Nuggets played like champions tonight because that's what Aaron Gordon is.
I love it. I love it. Like, here's the thing about these kinds of games. You need your stars to show up, but you also need your role players to try to take out the opposing team's stars. And I think the Clippers did that as much as they possibly could with Jokic. They even did that pretty early with Murray. Kawhi went 6 of 13, 8 of 9 from the free throw line, 2 of 4 from three. Like, he had 22 points. It was a pretty good stat line. They needed more. Like, they needed him to be out there more. They needed him to be present more. They needed him more involved. And the fact that Aaron Gordon was willing to engage with him every single time and hit him every single time, and it wasn't just the hits in game 7. It was the hits in game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we have credited Matt more so, obviously, over the course of that long period of time. But it is those body shots that really do numbers in these situations. And I think Jokic actually felt it too. So it can take a little bit of a learning from this, that it doesn't necessarily matter as much. Yeah, Aaron struggled in game 2 when Kawhi went off in game 2. Like, it wasn't even really his fault, but it was just the fact that Aaron stuck with it over the long haul, and it allowed him to activate and be in this position in this moment and win the game for his team.
A lot of Clippers fans actually in our comments saying congrats, and I want to credit them for being good losers. That's great. That is like the way that you should behave. And like, thanks for listening to the show. Appreciate it. I think you guys have a tremendous organization. I think Steve Ballmer is the best owner in sports. I think Ty Lue is a really great coach. I think the makeup of your organization, a lot of your role players are tremendous. I think you have a great front office development staff. I think you're in a really good place. As soon as you get an actual leader on your team, you're going to be in a really good spot. Unfortunately, you have a guy that's going to duck while James Harden takes all the slings and arrows. Although Harden did duck out of media tonight.
He did.
So let's talk Russ.
Absolutely.
The recency bias is always a real problem because it's like the last impression is always the most lasting. And so if he has a rough series versus OKC, we won't say or feel these things. And so I want to take this moment to say this because this encapsulates the entire season. Signing Russell Westbrook was worth it. His addition to this team was worth it.
Yes.
Russell Westbrook is always going to be divisive. And I loved his commentary tonight where he said, it's going to be everything. It's going to be, I might miss a 3. I might turn it over. I might make a steal. I might make it down. Like, that's the epitome of how he plays. The Clippers dared Russell Westbrook to hit open threes in this game. And throughout the season, Russ shot well from the corners. And we did not pay enough attention to it because you and I maintained it can't go well in the playoffs. It never does for him. Well, buddy, it went well in the playoffs, and he knocked off the team that blamed and ditched him.
Yeah.
And he was a force of nature tonight. He was a one-man hurricane and ripped through that franchise. The Clippers did not have the makeup of the intensity they needed for a game 7, and the Nuggets had Russell Westbrook, and that was a huge difference in this game.
I love that perspective. I do genuinely love that. And here's the thing. I've been pretty open about, I didn't think that this was ultimately going to work well. I would be happy if it was, and I am happy. I really genuinely am, man. Like, I want this to be a positive experience and for him to have his moment with Denver. And I want this to be great for, like, it's not just for like Jokic's legacy or the Nuggets' legacy or them doing it better, but it is pretty clear to me that the Nuggets bought into Russell Westbrook and who he was and what he could provide in a way that none of the LA teams did. Like, they adapted, the Nuggets did. They took who Russell Westbrook was and built a good team around that, and built a good team in a good situation around that, and allowed him to be who he was without trying to force him to change. The Clippers added James Harden, and you do that like because it's James Harden. But like, when they did that last year, it kind of shuffled Russell Westbrook to the side and put him into a really tough situation where he's trying to adapt around those guys and Paul George, and just trying to they're using him as a small ball center. Denver never really did that in his time here, and maybe they'll have to at some point. Maybe that's something that they try, but like, they have allowed Russ to be Russ, And I think he's really appreciative of that in general. And this was a great kind of full circle moment on, early in the season, the shooting wasn't great. It was a little bit shaky. You don't know what the decision making is going to be like. It just didn't matter, man, because he played harder than them and he executed when it mattered. So I'm happy for him. He totally deserves it. The way that he's bought into this Nuggets team, and he's been consistently good for this team, good for this locker room. It is a very cool experience. And the quote that he delivered tonight was that was an all-timer.
Tonight, and I'll look at the season series stats sometime. Tonight on corner threes, the Nuggets shot 4 of 10. The Clippers only shot 2 of 9. They only generated 9 open threes, but like this is a lot of it is the Clippers did not generate enough threes in this game.
Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. And with 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus, Max, and more. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. XPass Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen.
Is Hunter Renfrow now the heir apparent to Adam Thielen in the slot here in Carolina? And how will the wide receiver competition shake out?
You are Locked On Panthers, your daily Carolina Panthers podcast.
And we'll start off by talking about the wide receiver position, as Fred has a question as it pertains to Hunter Renfrow, who signed on Sunday here to Carolina, saying, being that Hunter Renfrow's a good slot guy, do you think he's the Panthers' midterm replacement for Adam Thielen? This is likely Adam's last year, and Hunter is 29. He should at least factor in to be Thielen's short-term replacement after this year. Thoughts, or am I looking too far into a basic wide receiver signing? Yeah, I would think that there would be an opportunity for Hunter Renfrow, rather, to be the replacement to Adam Thielen there in the slot for Carolina. When you look back at his career with the Raiders, he got off to a really good start. His first 2 years had 600 yards receiving both those seasons. 2021, he was a Pro Bowler. The last 2 seasons he spent there in 22 and 23, his numbers weren't that great, just over 300 yards receiving in both of those years. And I don't pay attention to what happens with the Raiders, so I don't really know what was going on there. We can certainly talk to our guy Q Myers of Locked On Raiders at some point this off season in the coming weeks to figure out what was going on there with Adam in his final time, his final couple of years there with the Raiders. But we know recently what led him to not play last year was that he was dealing with a autoimmune condition, ulcerative colitis, which had him lose weight. He had fatigue, had high fevers. He had a quote from a story from Darren Gann on Panthers.com earlier this week saying, quote, "Last year I fluctuated in weight. I went down to 150 pounds. I had like 7 straight days of 103-degree fevers. It's tough to play when you're not feeling great." Yeah, it is tough to do anything when you have a 103-degree fever for a full week straight. My God, I can't even imagine. But after spending a year consulting with doctors and getting the condition under control, he's ready to make his comeback, and he's now at 187 pounds to play at 185. So 35 pounds below his playing weight is where he was at last year dealing with that condition. So good to hear that he's back and healthy. Now, I think we have to see just how healthy he is and how up to speed he is as far as, playing at the NFL level again after you miss a year when you're dealing with something like that. And I don't know how long he's been dealing with that could certainly set you back as far as trying to get back into game shape, which he has plenty of time to do that as competition for that job at least as far as trying to make the roster this year, really won't start until we get to the second or third week of training camp in August. So we still have a ways to go. Hunter, rather. God, he has all this time over the next month with OTAs and a mandatory minicamp to really get to speed. So we'll see whether that's how it plays out. But right now, I think it's a little bit too early to say that's what's going to happen, as there's still a lot of competition in that room. And speaking of the competition in that wide receiver room, Nick asking, at what point do we stop caring about knowing the system, he puts in quotes, in regards to keeping David Moore around? Dude is not a good NFL wide receiver, and there's much more talent upside with other players on the roster. Jalen Coker and Hunter Renfrow are better already, and the potential of Jimmy Horn Jr., Kobe Hudson, and Jacoby George is clearly higher than where Moore currently is. Jimmy Horn Jr. Was the 6th-round pick from Colorado, and then there's reports that they've signed Kobe Hudson and Jacoby George as undrafted free agents. Looking at Moore's last season here in Carolina, he played in 17 games, starting 5, had 32 receptions, 351 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's the most since 2020 when he was in Seattle right before coming to Carolina the first time around and not making the roster. I don't want to sit here and act as if like David Moore wasn't a contributor from last season, because he absolutely was. When Deontay Johnson didn't pan out and they traded him, when Adam Thielen missed 7 weeks, when Coker missed some time, Leggett, he also had his ups and downs. David Moore was a nice addition for this team. And this is a coaching staff that obviously knows him from his time in Seattle. You look at when he was not in the league, Dave Canales gave an opportunity in 2023 down in Tampa Bay, and he did a lot more last year than I would have ever expected out of David Moore because of the injuries, but also I did not think he still had that in him, and he did show it. But you are right, there are some younger players like Jalen Coker, like Hunter Renfrow, who's already been a Pro Bowler, but Coker especially, and then some guys that they're going to bring in who are going to have an opportunity to at least compete and try to make the 53, more likely the practice squad, I would think, with guys like Hudson and Jacoby George. And I really like what George did the last couple of years at Miami last year, especially catching balls from Cam Ward. But it's not going to be easy to crack the rotation and to make the roster at wide receiver. When you look at it, Adam Thielen, Xavier Leggett, Tedero McMillan, those are the only 3 guys I think that are absolutely secure as far as making the roster this upcoming season in that wide receiver room. Now, last year they did keep 7, back when Dave Canales said it was the deepest position on the roster. Eventually, once they got to the waiver wire, which they had the first waiver priority, they cut Jalen Coker and they cut Amir Smith-Marset, who had also been injured in the preseason. So he was probably not going to make it around anyways, but they cut those 2 guys, and we're down to only 5 receivers. David Moore was one of them. If they're going to keep 7 this year, again, Thielen, Leggett, McMillan, they're good. I'm guessing if Renfrow is truly healthy and back to his old self, he's going to make the team. So that's 4. I feel good about Jalen Coker getting an opportunity. So that's 5. And then it comes down to, okay, if you're going to keep 7 more, then David Moore probably makes a team. Maybe Jimmy Horn Jr. makes a team. Like, I would count on those guys all making it more so than going after another undrafted player. And I understand that it worked out for Coker last year. I do not think that's going to be the norm in Carolina, that an undrafted free agent is going to make the roster every single year and come in and actually make a big impact. Like they had 2 last year. You saw Damani Richardson, you saw Jalen Coker. There was opportunity. It was the worst team in the NFL the year prior. So there were opportunities for those guys to make the team, and they did. Now, of course, Coker got cut, but then came back. Richardson stayed on the entire year. I just think as this roster gets better, it's going to make it a little bit difficult for those guys who did not get drafted to be able to make the team. So we'll see. I don't think David Moore is useless. I'm not going to sit here and confidently say that Kobe Hudson and Jacoby George are better players than him, as they have never played in the NFL. And it's damn hard to go from being a good college player to even being a player who can make an NFL roster. We see it every single year. I am excited, though, to see what the wide receiver room looks like once we finally do get to training camp and see how things shake out once we get to the initial 53. And if they do indeed keep 7 again, or if they decide to only keep 5 or 6, all that, I'm very interested to see how it plays out here in Carolina.
There's nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it's catching a last-minute Major League Baseball showdown or soaking up the excitement of an NBA matchup. But finding great seats at a great price, that used to be a challenge until Gametime. With last-minute deals, all-in prices, and the lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Plus, ticket prices actually drop as the beginning of the game gets closer, so you can score amazing seats at a great price. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime.
LSU lands transfers in football.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers.
For a solid week, you've heard me talk about A.J. Halsey. And as a matter of fact, on Saturday, you heard me say this. Halsey is going to visit LSU on Sunday. And I believe, barring something dramatically unforeseen, he will be an LSU Tiger. Might have a few whispers already that he's heading that way. Yeah, because A.J. Halsey had already silently committed to LSU, and I knew that on Friday. So Halsey had committed to LSU. He took his visit. It was all the things that we had talked about. He had visited Ole Miss, left there without committing. He visited Miami, left there without committing. LSU had a very healthy NIL offer on the table, and obviously an opportunity to play immediately on a championship caliber team. On Friday, Miami took a commitment from a Tennessee safety transfer, which opened the door for Halsey, basically essentially ushered Halsey to LSU, which we knew was going to be the thing. So I told you the numbers already. I don't know the exact number that Halsey got in NIL, but what I do know is that the On3 NIL valuation for him was $400,000. I was told point blank when I asked, the number was higher than that, but I did not find out an exact number. Yes, LSU very much in the business of buying players, which Brian Kelly said a year ago they were not, but this is the game. If you were to win at this game, you have to play this game, which means you have to be willing to pay players more than other teams will. If all else is equal, money will win out. And that's not to say all else is equal in every situation, but in a given situation, if all else is equal, money will win out. And LSU has certainly been able to do that in this transfer portal class. My goodness, what a haul for LSU. No pun intended there with A.J. Halsey, but LSU, the transfer portal class here for 2025, depending on which, service you subscribe to, LSU either the number 1 or 2 portal class in the country. And they've added 2 here in the spring cycle. I want to remind you of this because after the spring game, the spring scrimmage, whatever you want to call it, this is what Brian Kelly said when he was asked about the spring transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean, I like our roster right now. It wouldn't surprise me if we didn't have anybody in the portal on either side, either leaving our program or adding. I would be if you ask me right now, I would be happy to take this roster right into May, and on both sides of it. Maybe that's fool's gold. Maybe that's wishing more than anything else. But I like what we've done with this roster. I like the development of it. Not all of that is in my control, obviously, but I can tell you we're not actively saying we got to have this, we got to have that. We feel good about our roster. If something shows itself that is an incredible opportunity, we're certainly going to investigate any time that we can help our football team. And so we're always going to be looking to help our team, but it's not like it was obviously in January.
Not like it was in January, certainly not like it was a year ago or when Brian Kelly showed up. I want to illustrate to you how much things have changed. So with the addition of A.J. Halsey, Bernard Gooden was the previous transfer. With A.J. Halsey, LSU is now at 18 portal additions for 2025. Let me give you some context. When Brian Kelly showed up in 2022, remember, Ed Ogeron had kind of left and decimated the roster. There were 38 scholarship players that played in that bowl game, that Texas Bowl against Kansas State. Remember that? How could you forget if you watched it? He had a receiver playing quarterback. Anyway, that year, LSU had to fortify its numbers. It added 15 portal players. A year later, they added 13. And for the 2024 roster, they added 9 via the portal. Remember, Brian Kelly had said pretty openly he wanted to build through the high school ranks, recruit, develop, and supplement via the portal. And we said pretty consistently here, only time would tell if that strategy would work. And what happened? You were 8-4 a year ago because you added 9 bodies. And 9 bodies can be fine if it's not in impact players, but that's not what LSU added in 2024. The transfer portal players they added in 24 were JVR Suggs, Gio Paez, CJ Daniels, Austin Osbury, Blake Oxendorf, Xavier Thomas, Jair Brown, Jordan Gilbert, AJ Swan. Get the point? None of those guys were impact guys in 2024. Look at what they have added now. Not only have they added 18 players via the portal, the most of the Kelly era, it's impact guys. Go back to the very beginning. Jamari Butler, Jakeem Jackson, Josh Thompson's going to be a starter. Barrion Brown could be a starter. Nick Anderson could be your best receiver. Bauer Sharp's going to start at tight end. Destin Hill's going to be an impact guy. Braylon Moore's probably your starting center. Michael Van Buren's your backup quarterback. Jack Pyburn's probably a starting defensive end. Mansour Delane's going to start at corner. Grant Chadwick's probably your starting punter. Sadir Mitchell's going to be part of your defensive tackle rotation. Patrick Payton's going to start at defensive end. Donovan Green's a backup tight end. Tamarcus Cooley, AJ Halsey are going to start at safety. Bernard Gooden's going to start at defensive tackle or certainly be part of the rotation. The point is, you didn't just go add bodies. You added dudes that you're expecting to be immediate impact guys. A dramatic difference from a year ago or at any point during the Brian Kelly era, which he is in effect telling you the way that you have to win is not what he thought it was going to be. And it makes sense because you're looking at a situation where you're going to lose a quarter of your roster every year. So in 2 years, half of your recruiting class is gone. You can go spend all the resources to recruit Lance Hurd. If he's gone after 1 year, what did that get you? Why not, instead of getting Lance Hurd for 1 year as a backup, go get Braylon Moore or Josh Thompson for 1 year as a starter? That's kind of the approach you have to take. And it's a year-to-year approach, and it's not what most people are used to or what most people want to see in college football, but it's the reality. And if you want to win, it's what Ohio State did last year. It's what Ole Miss did last year. Ohio State won a national championship. Ole Miss didn't make the playoff. So you still got to coach them. You still got to be able to take all those pieces, put them together, make them win. But undeniably, you added AJ Halsey, whose PFF grade a year ago was 80.5. The highest graded safety on your team was a 69. That was Sage Ryan. He's not even on the team anymore. He's in Oxford at Ole Miss. So you upgraded your safety position, which was your worst position defensively, by adding not one, but 2 starting safeties. By the way, Halsey played both free and strong in 2024 at the University of Houston. He started 33 games during his career. So go get it, man. You went and got 2 guys at safety that make you immediately better. Now, I did get this message from a guy named Travis who said, Matt, I have a thought. And if you think it's stupid, tell me. His words, not mine. He said, we just spent $1 trillion at safety in the winter portal, meaning on Tamarcus Cooley. And we're about to get another high-priced guy. Meanwhile, guys like Deshaun Spears was a 5-star as a sophomore now. We shouldn't need to get portal guys to play over him. He should be ready to go now. We would never have gotten portal guys to play over Grant Delpit or Eric Reed. I'm not saying Spears should be as good as those guys, but I think he should be ready to go at least at this point. Right. A couple of things. Number one, you didn't spend $1 trillion. And number two, none of the guys you have on the roster are sophomore Grant Delpit or Eric Reed. Grant Delpit played a ton as a sophomore. Eric Reed started as a freshman. Eric Reed was starting by November of his freshman season. Those were already starting caliber players. Deshaun Spears played a lot in the first month of the season, wasn't quite ready for it. In the second half of the season, saw his playing time diminish dramatically over the second half of the season at LSU as a freshman. So it's not what. As a matter of fact, if you look at Spears' snap counts by game a year ago, in the opener against USC, he played 2 snaps. Against Nicholls, 28, South Carolina, 44, UCLA, 37, South Alabama, 37. Again, then this is his snap count the rest of the way. 3, 5, 13, 8, 1. He vanished. He vanished because he wasn't ready. Now, he played 27 snaps against Baylor in the bowl game. He had opt-outs and everything. Jordan Gilbert had the shoulder surgery. But the point is, he wasn't ready. By the end of their freshman years, Reed and Delpit were ready. So Could Spears and Toviano and Rodgers, could they be great in 2025? They could. Maybe they won't be. So do you go with a question or a given? A given is two guys that were starting safeties at the Power 5 level and were great players. And if your young guys beat them out, awesome. But if not, pretty nice fallback. Having two dudes that were starters at the Power 5 level a year ago slip into the position that was your weakest defensively a year ago. AJ Halsey has committed to LSU.